All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are in the building. The virtual stage is set because we have Andy. Hope I got this right. Cabasso. Is that right? Is it
Yeah,
right?
you got it.
Great. Great. We are both East Coasters, so this is great. We got some ties to Boston as well. So this is going to be very interesting with some maybe I'm not sure our accents might be there already. So what do you think? might already be there.
Maybe.
But he is here to help us help you make your business, should I say, make your business stand out in a crowded industry. Is that correct, sir?
I thought we were going to be talking about this new timeshare
Oh,
opportunity.
no. Hey, we can do that too because I don't want to get rid of mine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, let's talk about making your business stand out in a crowded industry. That'll be fun.
that sounds great. All right, we shall see what he can do for us today on this episode of the Authority Project.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of The Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
All right, and we are back on the virtual stage. This is the Authority Project. You are the project. We want to slap authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. And we are honored to have Mr. Andy Cabasso here. Just going to give us the straight talk, the real deal talk about how to stand out in a crowded industry. And we got a lot to talk about here. So before we do anything, please tell us, first of all, Andy, who you are personally and then professionally.
Personally, oh man, there's so much to unpack there. All right. Well, let's start with professionally. Personally, I don't know. Personally, I am a fan of pub trivia, and
Okay.
in the last year, I have been unable to win any in-person trivia contests. So that's unfortunate. Um, we've been doing some Zoom trivia over the last
Oh,
few months.
nice.
Not quite as exciting as the actual tension you get from being in person at a pub,
Right.
and the person next to you is you're like convinced looking on their phone for the answers. But anyway,
Right.
professionally, let's talk about that. I years ago I started a digital marketing agency. It was very successful. I grew it and then sold it, and now I'm in the space of basically digital marketing software. My company is called Postaga, Postaga, and it helps you with link building and outreach to help you better promote your business, promote your content, do PR outreach and get press coverage, and basically help you grow your business and get more traffic online.
All right, great. That is awesome. Now we just covered the second question, which was what's your current project? We know what that is already. So we got two for one there. So let's do a little wrinkle here. I'm very interested. I'm sure everybody else is as well. What is your daily routine?
So I'll wake up somewhere between 5 and 6:30 in the morning, depending on when my toddler child decides that we're going to wake up. Either her or the cat is the one who wakes us up. It's a mixed bag. Every day is different. Um,
Right.
then after we're up, after we're done watching some of Izzy's Koala World or Sesame Street, um,
Nice.
I'll try and get my workday started. Kind of answering the inbox, addressing sales, addressing any support tickets and stuff like that. I focus a lot of my day on marketing, sales, and operations for the business, while my co-founder works more on the technical and development side. So every day is kind of different. And lately doing a bunch of podcasts. So this
Oh,
this has
no.
been fun.
Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna dive right in now that we got that good, we got that out the way. So let's start in. Every space is crowded. There's always gonna be competitors, right?
Hmm.
So let's start in the place where we have this idea, we have this product, and we're gonna assume we got a little bit of attraction, little bit of traction going, right?
Hmm.
Some a little bit of proof of concept. So what are you looking for marketing wise to stand out? Where do you start?
Yeah. So from my background, my agency was focused on my previously in my previous business. I had an agency that was focused on this niche of lawyers. So marketing for law firms and web design is a very crowded field. There are, I don't know,
Yeah,
millions of web designers out there.
right.
Also, many web design agencies focusing on that niche of lawyers. So how can one stand out and be different? Um, One thing, I guess there are a few things to talk about here. One thing was that really gave me a lot of ideas in terms of how to help us stand out was by really spending as much time listening to our ideal clients. So I had friends who were lawyers. I myself went to law school, and so that kind of actually got me interested in this niche. So I would speak with lawyers and learn about what they were dealing with, and in particular, where their heads were at when they were at the stage of being ready to buy a website or hire a web design agency. And
Okay.
so learning from that helped give me ideas for marketing, give me ideas for what type of content to create. And that really helped us stand out. So you could create content that is very bottom of funnel, geared towards people who are in the market to buy whatever product or service you have. And if you can get that traffic, that's great because then you can connect with people who are looking for your product or service. But that can be particularly competitive. And also, it's a very small, relatively amount of people maybe looking for your product as compared to a larger market, maybe more middle or top of funnel, we'll say, who are
Mhm.
not in the market for buying your product or services today, but eventually could be. So what I was trying to get from understanding my ideal client was, if they wouldn't be my customer today, but could be a customer of mine a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, what kind of things were they looking for online? And what could I create content wise to get them in my sphere, so I could build a relationship with them, build that trust. And so when they would be in the market for my product,
Okay.
I would be the first person they went to. And so, like, as an example, I found that a lot of new law firms were looking for software for helping them manage their cases or software for helping them track their time. And
Okay.
there were specific apps for law firms that this was helpful for, that this existed. So I wrote content around that. So, like, which is the best practice management software, which is the best time tracking software for lawyers? And there's a lot more people searching for that than there are people searching for lawyer website design or something like that,
Okay.
something specific.
Okay.
So reaching that top of funnel audience got people in our ecosystem. I got them on my mailing list. I would create these things called lead magnets. So basically, downloadable PDFs and guides and things like that, comparison charts, so that people would give me their email address, they'd get on my list, and they would get emails from me weekly. Just about what content I've been writing. And then maybe a month or more down the line, potentially, they'd reach out to me saying, "Hey, I've been getting your emails and I'm finally ready to hire a marketing company. And I love everything that you've been saying, and I trust you, and I
Mhm.
want to hire you." And that that was like a really big impact that really built over time, especially.
Okay. So you're not following. I mean, there's an aspect of the marketing industry. And uh, we'll say, hey, look at your competitor and follow what they're doing, because what they're doing, they've already been successful at it. So why don't you just copy it? Because I've said that myself. So
I
so model what works
I
and go from
I
there.
I get that because I feel like it's a trap in some ways because
Okay.
you don't know if your competitors' marketing channels are successful. You may see them advertising, but you don't know if they're converting. You may see them; they may be experimenting with things as well as you are, and there's no like not much of a way for you to tell if that's converting into getting them paying clients. So while I have been mindful of that in the past, I try not to give it so much weight that that's going to dictate how I do things because allowing me to have my own path with marketing is going to let me see what's going to work for me, which may be different from what the competitor is doing. And if it's something that a competitor isn't doing, I'm charting new water here and potentially finding something that they have not seen or missed.
Interesting. Let me dive a little deeper and and in the I just want to get to the point where you're trying to figure out what people want, what your customer wants.
Yeah.
So so how are you getting out there and getting to that outreach where you're actually finding exactly what this customer, what this target core customer that you want to help, what they actually want?
So I did that through a lot of my sales calls. So I'd be trying to, pitch my product to the customer, a potential customer, and I ask a lot of open questions. I want to know more about where they're at, and this is research for me too, because sometimes people will in these sales calls give me ideas for content based on like problems that I'm hearing, or I'm like hearing recurring things like a law firm is saying, yeah, I've been with a bunch of different marketing agencies and they all locked me into this year-long contract and I hate it. And so, and I would hear that a lot. So then I would write a piece of content about why you should never have a marketing firm that has a year-long contract or something like that. And then we would rank for that, and people would find us and say, "Yeah, you're right. I had this exact same problem too." And that turns out that it would resonate with more people. But when I would be on like sales calls with people, I'd ask, aside from me, like the goal being me trying to sell them something, I would take a lot of time to learn as much about them as I possibly could. And I found that generally they're excited and willing to share about what's going on in their lives because maybe you have a recommendation. Maybe, you're like the fact that you're listening and asking them questions is probably different than a lot of other sales type pitches that people have been in where they're basically giving you a series of leading questions to the end result of them trying to pitch you to buy their product. But taking a very open approach and like asking them about their business first and trying to learn more about that to even see if you'd be a good fit is a great resource for getting more ideas. Another thing was, in my experience, was in the before times, going to like trade
Yeah.
shows and events, and
Okay.
I'd be able to speak with attendees who were potential customers as well, and like learn about what's going on in their lives. And that was a much more informal environment, and so I could get a better pulse on kind of the things that my potential customers are concerned about.
Now, did you follow like a script that you kind of landed on after a while of questioning?
Yeah, for sales, like for a sales script, yes. So um, first I'd ask, like about their business, like, hey, happy to talk with you, and
Yeah.
first, before we get into this, like, tell me a little bit about your business. And
Right.
they would tell me like, oh yeah, well, I'm starting a new firm, or I'm leaving my current firm to start my own firm, or, I have the reason I'm reaching out is because I have an out of date website and need a new one. And so I would then listen closely and then ask follow up questions.
Right.
I want to underline the word listen here because so many people are in sales are just like focused on the end result and not at all on the process, that they can skip over or gloss over something important that your prospective customer is telling you. So once they'd be telling me about their business, I'd then, like, as I'm trying to narrow down the sale, try and like figure out what their needs are, because like with digital marketing and law firms in particular, I was finding that more often than not, my customers were falling into one of two buckets. Either A, they really just wanted a website to be their online business card, or B, they wanted to get more leads and more traffic and needed like an ongoing marketing package. So then I would ask them, which of these do you think categories do you fall into if you had to? And from there, I could then tailor the rest, like a discussion towards ideas in that realm, and tell them because my follow-up is going to be different based on what their ultimate goals are. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I want people to understand that these scenarios do happen. You got me thinking about when I was getting my car worked on for my brakes and my rotors.
Mhm.
I was in the office, and the guy was on his phone with this. I guess this guy had some kind of recurring service that he wanted to get off. He was like, "Yeah, just take it off." And it's like he's slinging the phone down. Like he was like really upset that he was still getting charged. So people are open to changing to a different service, to a different company. So I like how you're saying that, just because somebody is with somebody doesn't mean that they won't change.
Right. And because one thing I found out was like a lot of people maybe 6 months into their year-long contract, and they would call me and say, "Listen, I can't hire you today. I have 6 months left in this contract, but I hate the service. I'm not happy with it, and I will be leaving. So hang on for 6 months, but I'm glad that I connected with you today, and I'm glad that I know more about your business as an option."
Awesome. I love that. So let's dive into how important you think it is for content marketing. And I guess you're going to probably say something about linking to other sites as well, for your success in getting the word out on your new product.
So the landscape with search marketing and content is getting increasingly competitive. Every day it's getting more competitive. And one thing I experienced doing digital marketing and SEO for not only my own website but also my clients was that one thing that I would explain to new customers when they'd sign on, when they'd say like, "Okay, well, can I hire you for SEO for 6 months and then you'll get me to the top of Google and that'll be it, and then I can never do SEO again?" The thing I would try to express is that whenever you increase your position in Google, and whenever you take the top spot in Google search results, you're knocking someone else off their pedestal. You don't exist in a vacuum. It's not just you in position one. It's you getting to position one and knocking someone else down to position two. And so you are actively competing for this. And one thing that a lot of websites are doing to better compete is getting other websites to link to their content. So the reason they do this is because Google's search algorithm has many different factors, many different things that affect what your ranking is for a given web page and in a given keyword search or anything like that. But one of the most consistent things and highest correlations, since Google doesn't outright tell us this is what you need to rank higher, what the most significant correlation is the more relevant quality links that point to your website and to your articles, the better you will show up in search results. So what my product does and what I try to tell people to do is focus on not just publishing content, but doing outreach to other websites that could be able to link to your content. There are a number of different strategies that people use to do this. From finding other articles that list here's 100 resources on whatever topic, and reaching out to that website and saying, "Hey, I saw that you listed 100 different links to other websites. Can you also add me to that list?" Something as simple as that, to something as more skill intensive as finding a top ranking article finding the websites that link to that article, and then reaching out to those websites and asking them to switch their link from that other website to linking to your website. And that's called the skyscraper technique, and it's a very popular link building method for digital marketers.
I love it. I hope this isn't getting over some people's
I don't want to get
heads.
too in the
Right,
weeds.
right, too technical.
I don't want to get too in the weeds, but basically,
Right.
the broad idea is that what you should be doing is not just publishing content on your blog and hoping that you will improve your search rankings, but you need to do work after that blog post is published to make sure that other websites can find you and link to you. And one of the best ways to do that is to reach out to them directly. So finding other websites, getting their contact information, and then sending them basically a cold pitch email to say, hey, just wanted to let you know I published this article that might be relevant for you. Could you link to it? That's just the broad strokes of what it is. And my product helps with that.
This is awesome, guys. I want you to, this is the first person. This first person we really got in here talking about SEO, and linking, and this is great. But if you just got that little part, that's basic 101 of how to get that done. Don't just put up a blog, because you're going to be like the millions and millions of blogs that are out there that die off after a month or two in existence, because it's hard. But yeah.
Most definitely.
It's hard. You know what? I'm gonna give you this question too. Should I give you this question now or later? Let's do a little later.
Oh man, I'm in suspense now.
Right, exactly. So do you limit your marketing when you start to one platform? Is it just content marketing? Are you doing social? Are you doing
Yeah. So this. I find that marketers are all very different. Some are better at some platforms than others. I find that tooting my own horn, I'm pretty good at content marketing. I write very well. I've been writing content for forever. But that being said, I am not particularly adept at social. I'm trying my best, but I know there are people that are very good at it. It's just not a strength I have. So with marketing, I say try and focus on your strengths, and the things that are not your strengths, if you can, outsource that. But in terms of getting a visibility in search engines, content is definitely important. So blogs as well as video content, since YouTube is the number 2 search engine behind Google.
Yeah, definitely. You'll see this a lot. Like you'll have somebody who's really great on maybe Facebook, but has nothing on YouTube. Or it'll be great on Instagram, but nothing else is going on, because it's so difficult even on one platform to get ahead and do that. Or you might have a great blog, but no social.
Sure, yeah, and I have worked with plenty of just throughout my career, worked with plenty of people who are experts at one area, and we all may understand big picture of what you need to do to succeed in all of these channels, but some people are just much better at executing on those channels.
So let's talk about virtual summits. You said you had some success doing that, and how has that built up your authority in your space using this medium?
Sure. So for those not familiar with what a virtual summit is basically an online event over a day or a series of days. At its core, you could basically think of it of a series of webinars all around a central theme. And I started doing this to build my authority. I started doing these in 2016. This is my digital agency focusing on the legal space, and my partner and I were realizing, okay, we are doing webinars, we are making contacts in our space, and we're making partnerships, but what's another way that we could stand out? So what we were thinking of, and what we ended up doing, was we created this 2-day online event where we got speakers from all over our industry, each speaker who had their own audience and had their own audience that they could promote this to and bring in.
Yeah.
And basically, it was a 2-day online event with 16 to 20 speakers over the years. We had like 16 speakers one year or 20 speakers the next, and that was definitely too many. But basically, they were like 2 full-day events with many different sessions on topics that were interesting to our audience of lawyers. So I'd give a session on digital marketing for lawyers. Another speaker from another company would give a session on legal writing or legal writing tools or something like that. Someone else might give a session on ethics or starting up a new firm. Someone else might give a session on legal research. Basically, like talks on the full gamut of things that could be interesting to our ideal audience and our target clients. And so this was something that an event that we could promote to our potential customers. We could advertise to get new potential customers and get people on our list and in our pipeline. But we'd also have our speakers promote to their audiences. And not only that, it was a great partnership building experience because I would reach out to people that I wanted to work with or wanted to either like be affiliates or a partnership with my company, and inviting them to speak in front of this audience of 1,000 people. They appreciated that. And it was very low, like a low barrier for them to be involved because I wasn't asking them to fly to a conference in New York if they're in Canada or fly to San Diego or something like that, or Vegas or whatever, and have to like disrupt their week. I basically just needed an hour of their time to put on this session and give this talk, and maybe they've given this talk before, so it wouldn't be that much of a challenge for them. And then they would be involved and be answering questions in the community and sharing this event with their audience, and it was very easy for them to do. So getting speakers was very easy, and getting them to be potentially partners of my company was also a great opportunity. So there was a lot of benefits that we got from having the summit. Now you probably, like in the last 6 months in particular, there have been a lot of other companies hosting virtual summits because in-person events are kind of gone for a while. But it's definitely a great opportunity, especially if no one in your industry is doing it right now. That doesn't mean you shouldn't because no one's doing it. It just possibly means that you should be the first. And that was our situation. We were in 2016 when I did our first virtual summit. No one else in our space had done it. And then since a bunch of other companies have. But overall, it was a great experience for us. We got new customers, got a ton of new leads. We built partnerships, and it also built our reputation in the space because now we were that company that held a virtual summit with a bunch of other big name companies. So we had companies that were like venture backed and much larger than us. They were speakers at our event, and so we looked really good being the ones that hosted this.
Right. That's awesome. So, you know what? This is great. This is great. You've been getting exposure, but doesn't this get expensive? It's either gets expensive or time consuming. So how do we balance all this out where we're trying to get all this together, but we have so much of a budget, so much time to really make this work?
I'll say that when I did it, it was not expensive, but it was very time consuming. In hindsight, I realistically spent a full month of my time putting this together. With the knowledge that I have now and things I would do maybe differently, I could probably put it together a lot quicker. So one thing I did was I pre-recorded all of the speaker sessions because I was basically the one person on my team putting this whole thing on, and there would be no realistic way for me to manage the whole thing if I had live sessions back to back to back. Okay. So I recorded each speaker, pre-recorded. I'd edit their session. I'd put it on on the right page on our platform, and like put that all together. if I had like literally another person on my team,
Right.
there's a way that I could do it live.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there are plenty of like virtual summit softwares out there that didn't exist in 2016 when I first did this. Platforms like Hey Summit is a good example of one.
Mhm.
I know the founder there; he's great. Shout out to Robert at Hey Summit. But like there are these platforms that can help you organize and host a virtual summit where basically you have a speaker, like they give their talk, you have Q&A, then the next speaker goes, and so on and so on and so on, and it's all very orderly and organized, and these platforms help you manage it. Because I didn't have a platform to help me manage it, it was basically me creating videos, uploading them to YouTube, using my website, and then building pages for every single event, and having the email series for all of this. It was
Yeah.
a lot.
Right. Right. And what about the content marketing aspect? Are you doing? Because I know some people who are good at writing, some people aren't. Where they're actually, they're paying for the writers to do content for them.
Mhm.
So how does that work? How many pieces of content do you put out per day to really stand out and get in some traction and get on that first page?
Oh, that there are a lot of people are going to give you different answers on what
Yeah.
you should do. There are some blogs where they'll say, I write one really good piece of content a
Yeah.
month and I do a lot of link building for that,
Right.
and that gets me all my traffic. And so I can have just a few good pieces of content and I'm a
Yeah.
very good link builder and I don't need to have a ton more content. Then
Okay.
there are people who like publish several times a week. There are some people who publish once a week. Personally, I try and publish an article like a good article once a week, and then do link building and promotion for it. Lately, I haven't had that much time, but that's just my personal preference. If I had more time,
Okay.
I would definitely publish
Right.
as much as possible, but in part, not just publish for the quantity. I would, because I know a lot of people will publish, like they'll try and publish as many articles a week as they can and have like the articles be like 500 words
Right.
of just platitudes of here are 5 tips for improving your LinkedIn profile.
Right.
1, have a good picture. 2, have a good summary. And it's like, oh gosh.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
like having something to say with like 1,500 or more words to really get into the topic, I think is helpful, and it's going to help you promote that content better. Because if your content is broad and vague, no one's going to want to link to it, or even link to it instead of something else that they're already linking to. Because getting someone to change their link from another website to your website means that your content should be significantly better. And in my experience, that means that it has to be longer and more in depth and more up to date.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So I got a couple more questions here before we get
Yeah.
out of here. How do you make yourself the voice of your business so that people will remember you and what you've done
hmm
for people in your audience, I guess?
So I know different people have different strategies for it. I try like so with content. I try and put my voice to it, and I'm using the word voice again. But what I try and do is I personally write in a very conversational style where it's like you and I are having a conversation. I'll use short sentences. I will I I might like go super in depth into one area, and like you see a lot of maybe short sentences about something,
Right.
because although now maybe now I'm speaking very long-winded, but I
Right.
try and really get in depth to a topic and make it sound like as you're reading the text on the page, it feels like I'm talking to you. And I've done video content as well, and like the same kind of thing, like the conversation that you and I are having now. When I write, I try and think of this content is directed towards one person in my head, and what am I trying to express or convey to them. And when I read other people's articles, I often get like in the back of my head like, who is this for?
Okay.
Um, so when I'm creating content, I'm sure you've seen probably so much generic ghost
Yeah.
written content where it's like just it's so bland.
Yeah.
Having your content, like having emotion in your content, being angry about something, having an opinion is not bad.
Yeah. I'm
Like
angry that some of that content is on for everything else. I'm like, how does this guy this content out there? But anyway.
yeah, and like you'll see because like there are some people whose blogs where you recognize their face, you recognize their avatar because you've
Okay.
read their content or seen their videos over and over again. And so I try to make it so when I am writing content, I want people to remember who wrote this so that I can be this authority that they'll come back to me and trust my writing.
Gotcha.
And I don't think there's a good substitute for that. So if you want to like outsource and get someone's help for research or something with content, you can, but really try and say what's being said in a voice that speaks to an individual in your audience, and that'll make a better connection and make people trust you more and trust what you have to say and keep reading.
Yeah. And I would do my own editing if you're doing it that way too. Do some editing where you can put your something. If the writer said it one way, put it in your own voice that you say that's not how I would say it. So edit. You have the power of editing it too when you outsource as well.
Yeah, and some people have definitely have personality quirks, let's say, with their writing. There's some people who will swear in their writing, and that may
Right.
be for them, or there may be some there are definitely things you can do to make your content your own.
Awesome. So I got one last question. This is kind of a coincidence, but I had a post just a second ago asking about, I had, you have a great idea. What do you do? So so you have an idea, like you're doing software, a lot of software, you're focusing on that now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know you have a great idea? How do you know that this is it? This is what I'm going to be doing so that I can be this big thing
Yeah.
in the industry before you even branch out to do that?
Um, there are a lot of people who are better than me at answering this, but I'll just say from my experience.
Yeah.
Once if I have an idea and I think it's a good idea, I don't want to start building it right away in case it doesn't resonate in case there isn't really an audience for it. In particular, in case there isn't a paying audience that's willing to pay for it. Yeah. This can be whether you are trying to create a new idea or add a new feature to one of your products. You may get a lot of feedback that, oh, this would be great. But the question is anyone willing to pay for it? And if someone is interested in it and sees that you have a product, will adding this feature get you better retention or more paying users? So one thing I try and do with any new idea is ask around people that I might trust, and also do cold outreach to people to try and get their feedback and be like, hey, I have this idea. Do you have a solution that you would already use to solve this problem? If not, if you hear this idea that I have, would you be willing to pay for it? And if so, how much? And do you think you would actually use it? Because that is the question that needs to be answered. You can have a lot of people saying, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I love that idea. That's a great idea. But if no one's willing to pay for it, then you have an idea that people are excited about, but it's not a business. And I know that can be a big trap for people. And so I've seen some people do successful product launches where they have ads for an idea, they'll do cold outreach to people and say show them a landing page with the idea for what their product will be, and people can either sign up to get on the list or prepay and pre-order the product for when it's live. But either way, there's some buy-in or commitment there to actually see if people are willing to pay for this. And so that I think can really help you validate and see if this has any legs to it, because
Awesome.
we're going to have our biases, right? Like
Yeah.
you're going to think like this is a great idea, definitely people will pay for it, and then they
Right.
don't, and you're like, all right, I don't have product market fit, what is happening here?
Right. Right. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad you addressed that question like a pro. Loved it. Loved it. So I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
Um, Enjoyed everything so far. Trust me, this is amazing stuff, man. Amazing stuff. So here's the question.
Hmm.
Access of all of my guests. It goes something like this. They hear you, they see you, they love what the questions that you're answering. They love the path that you're on. They have similar paths and goals as well, similar interests, and they want to do what you're doing, Andy. They want to be like you,
Okay.
you and your partner, and they want to go into this field and be an authority in the space. Can you show them, or just give them like a one or two tips, or maybe just big one of how they can be an authority also in this space?
So for me, my journey was definitely very content focused, and I would absolutely say that if you want to be an authority in your space, content is the way to go. Understand what your audience is interested in. Try and do interviews with people who are good customers for you potentially, or people that you want to connect with. Learn what problems they're having and create content that tries to answer the problems and solve those problems and address any questions that they have. Write it with a very thorough approach, trying to be the end all be all answer for it. Have a very personal conversational tone to it so you sound like a human. This way, people will look at this content that you've created and remember you as the person who wrote it, and then hopefully follow you. And so over time, create lead magnets, downloadables, getting people's email addresses, and building a list. And so you're ultimately building an audience that's following you and seeing what you're doing. So even if you create many different products in the future, you have this built-in audience that trusts you and your voice and are going to be interested in whatever it is that you have to offer. Beyond that, one thing I would say that to myself from years ago when I was first getting started and trying to be an authority in the space is don't be so hard on yourself, and watch out for this sense of maybe an imposter syndrome where you're seeing, all right, there are all these other experts in the field. I'm new to the field, yet I'm trying to write an article as an authority. I just don't know that I have the knowledge already to do that. Well, you can do the research and become an authority on a subject. Just because you don't have years and years of experience in a space doesn't mean you don't have any value, or you can't do research and find out an answer. And so over time, as you are getting out there and creating content and doing the research, you are going to become an authority, and you are going to realize that you know more than you think. And so try not to get so down on yourself and worried about what people are going to think and who this person is. Who are you who wrote this? And no one knows who you are, because you are going to be your harshest critic. And I very much wish for you that you just keep moving forward, and maybe the first pieces of content that you create, the first blog post, the first videos, they're not going to be good. Accept that they're not going to be good. I hate the first articles that I ever wrote. Looking at some of the old SEO articles that I've written, I hate them. There's some information in there that's wrong, and I very much hope that no one looks them up. But I've learned more over time, I've gotten better over time, and I've built an audience and authority from the experience that I've gained and what I've been doing. And so I would just say, keep at it, keep growing, keep learning, keep being open to new ideas, and just don't let your inner monologue in particular try and hold you back.
That's awesome, man. That's incredible. I love all of that. I love all of that. Hey, I hope I'm definitely inspired. Hope everybody was inspired by Andy today. Just incredible stuff. Tell people again where they can see what you have wrought, what you have created after the show.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Brian. So my name is Andy Cabasso. I am very visible on the internet because there are no other Andy Cabassos. My website is postaga.com. That's postaga.com. It's a tool that helps you with link building and outreach to do promotion for your blog content, to get you press coverage for your products and ideas, and also get you featured on some podcasts and things like that. You can find me on Twitter at Andy Cabasso. On LinkedIn, I'm Andrew Cabasso because it sounds more professional.
Of course.
And I've also got a Facebook group that's Grow Together SEO.
I love that, Andrew. I love that. I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn, but that's not a story for another day.
I get, you get so many cold outreach messages on LinkedIn asking if you need a developer internationally or an outsourced sales team. I love LinkedIn.
Oh my gosh. All right. So this is great. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I'm glad we got you able to get in here a little earlier than later. So thank you for filling in. I appreciate you, man.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
And yeah, this is great. And yeah, we got a little Boston connection going on too, a little bit there. So that's awesome too. Take care, everybody. That's all I have. Unless you have any final words before we get out of here, Andy.
Have a great holiday season, everyone.
There you go. There it is. Take care. We'll see you on the next one. I do want you to, before you get out of here, please, everybody, go to theauthorityletter.com. I got some cool videos that you are going to love. I think they're pretty cool. That will help you build your authority platform and simplify that in a way that is cool and hip. I guess I don't know what I'm saying, but they're fun. They're and I think you'll understand it even more so. And do that and come back and watch this replay and get some deep dives as well from this particular episode. All right. Take care. Remember, build it, share it, and they will come. And that's all I got to say for now. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.